Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. So today, we're diving headfirst into the world of mobile cryptocurrency security.
It's a jungle out there.
It really is, and we're talking about how even the most tech-savvy among us can get tricked.
Right. It's not about being paranoid, but it is about being aware.
Absolutely, and that's why we're here. You, our listeners, are interested in cybersecurity, and frankly, the stuff we're unpacking today is straight out of a spy thriller.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. We're seeing this whole new breed of crypto stealing apps out there, and they're getting scarily good at mimicking the tools people use every day.
And the really crazy part, they're making a killing, like, serious money off of this.
Yeah, the profit potential is huge, which is unfortunately why we're seeing these scams become more and more common.
The one we're looking at today, experts estimate it raked in about $70,000.
In just 5 months.
5 months. It's insane. So let's break down how this whole thing works, because I think a lot of people, even if they're aware these scams exist, they might not realize just how easy it is to fall victim.
Right.
This particular app we're talking about today was really sneaky.
Oh, yeah.
It pretended to be WalletConnect, which for those who aren't familiar, it's a really popular service in the crypto world. And it basically lets you connect your crypto wallet to different decentralized apps or D-apps.
Right. It's kind of like the bridge between your crypto and all these other platforms.
Exactly. And that's what makes it such a juicy target for scammers. But here's where it gets really interesting. These guys, they didn't just create a fake app. They went all out. They even created fake reviews to make the app look legit.
Oh, yeah, that's classic.
Like, can you talk a little bit about why that works? Why are we so susceptible to those fake reviews?
Well, it's all about social proof, right? As humans, we're hardwired to look to others for cues on what's safe, what's trustworthy, what's worth our time. So when we see an app with hundreds or even thousands of glowing reviews, it kind of short-circuits our critical thinking.
It's like, well, everyone else seems to like it, so it must be okay.
Exactly. We're social creatures, and we tend to follow the crowd. Especially online, where it's harder to gauge authenticity, those reviews can be incredibly persuasive, even if they're completely fabricated.
And that's the thing, they were fabricated. This wasn't just some small-time operation. We're talking a pretty sophisticated setup.
Right? This was a global operation.
Yeah, the reach of this thing is incredible. We're talking Nigeria, Portugal, Ukraine. It really highlights how these threats are everywhere, even if you think you're being careful.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to understand how these scams actually work, how they slip through the cracks and end up on platforms like the Google Play Store.
Because you would think that even getting on the Play Store means you've passed some sort of security check.
Right, you'd think so, wouldn't you? But the reality is, these guys found a way to game the system, to make their app look totally legitimate, at least on the surface.
So they're essentially playing hide and seek with Google's security team.
In a way, yeah. They're exploiting the loopholes in the app review process because, let's face it, no system is perfect.
Okay, so walk us through this. How do you even begin to trick Google like that?
So imagine this. You download the app thinking it's the real deal, right? But behind the scenes, the app is running a check on you.
Like a digital bouncer at a club.
Exactly. If you don't fit the profile of their target, maybe you don't have a crypto wallet linked to your phone, or your location isn't one they're interested in, boom, they show you a completely legitimate site.
So to Google, it looks like the app is doing exactly what it's supposed to. That's wild.
Exactly. It's a sneaky way to fly under the radar and pass those initial security screenings during the review process. But for those who did fit the scammer's criteria, they got a very different experience.
And this is where that MS Drainer tool comes in.
You got it. That's the heart of the scam, the actual tool they use to swipe people's crypto.
So walk us through it. What's actually happening once someone downloads this app thinking it's the real deal?
Okay, so you've downloaded this app, right? You think it's legit, you're ready to use it. But hidden inside, just lurking in the code, is this MS Drainer tool.
Okay, that sounds ominous. MS Drainer, what is it, like some kind of digital vacuum cleaner?
Pretty much. But instead of dirt, it's after your crypto.
Okay, now that's a scary thought.
It's like a Trojan horse, you know? Appears harmless, maybe even helpful on the surface. But it's got this hidden agenda.
Right, to steal your stuff.
Exactly. And here's the really sneaky part. It all hinges on those app permissions. You know those things we often click through without a second thought?
Ugh, don't even get me started on those things. It's like allow access to your camera, your microphone, your entire life history. And I'm just like, sure, why not?
It's so easy to just click allow and move on with your life, right?
Exactly. Who has time to read all that stuff?
Right, but that's what these scammers are counting on. In this case, the app was designed to trick users into giving it permission to make cryptocurrency transfers.
So you're basically handing over the keys to your digital wallet without even realizing it.
Precisely.
Oh, man. So even if you do figure out something's wrong, like you realize you downloaded a shady app, you delete it, you think you're in the clear, the damage could already be done.
Exactly. Unless you specifically go back and revoke those permissions you granted, they've still got an open invitation to your crypto stash.
That's officially giving me chills. See, I always thought those permissions were more of an annoyance than anything else. Like, why does this weather app need to know my location? It's just the weather. But this just shows how important it really is to pay attention to those things.
Absolutely. It's not just about this one particular scam. Anytime an app asks for access to your data, your camera, your location, you should always stop and ask yourself, does this app really need this level of access to function?
Okay, so let's say you're listening to this and you're realizing, yeah, maybe I haven't been as careful with my app permissions as I should have been. What can you do to protect yourself?
Okay, first and foremost, don't panic.
Easier said than done when you think about all those permissions you blindly agreed to.
I hear you. But there are definitely steps you can take to stay safe. For starters, and I know this might seem obvious, but try to stick to official app stores whenever possible. So we're talking Google Play, Apple's app store. They have more rigorous security measures in place than, say, if you're downloading an app from some random website.
So no more app recommendations from the friend of a friend who's always raving about the latest and greatest thing.
Yeah, maybe not the best source.
Okay, fair enough.
But even when you are on these official app stores, it's crucial to really scrutinize those reviews.
Because like you were saying earlier, that's a big part of how these scammers trick people.
Exactly. So ask yourself, are the reviews all suspiciously vague and generic? Did a ton of 5-star reviews suddenly appear out of nowhere? Those could be red flags that something fishy's going on.
So it's about being more discerning, like not just blindly trusting because an app is on the App Store.
Right. You've got to be your own digital bodyguard.
So it's about being more discerning, like not just blindly trusting because an app is on the App Store.
Right. You've got to be your own digital bodyguard. And a good bodyguard is always paying attention to the details.
Okay, I like that analogy. So besides sticking to official app stores and really looking at the reviews, what else can we do to channel our inner digital bodyguard?
Well, a good bodyguard is also super careful about who gets those VIP passes. Right. In this case, we're talking about your personal data. So that means paying close attention to the permissions an app is requesting. Like if a flashlight app wants access to your contacts or your microphone, that should be a huge red flag.
Yeah, that's like, why does a flashlight need to know who I'm calling? Definitely sketchy.
Exactly. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Another thing to watch out for is typos or slight variations in an app's name or URL.
Oh, like those fake websites that try to trick you into thinking you're on the real deal.
Exactly. Attackers will often use these little tricks to mimic legitimate apps and websites, hoping you won't notice the difference.
So it's really all about being extra vigilant, almost like a hawk, spotting a tiny detail from miles away.
Precisely. And, even though it might take a bit more time, don't just blindly click through those permission screens. Take a moment to actually read and understand what you're agreeing to. It might seem like a hassle, but a few minutes of caution can save you a world of trouble down the line.
It's so true. I know I'm guilty of just wanting to get through those screens as quickly as possible, but you're right. It's worth taking that extra beat to make sure we're not handing over the keys to the kingdom to a potential scammer.
100%. And remember, this isn't about living in fear of technology. It's about being empowered to use it safely and confidently.
I love that. Empowered, not afraid. This has been such an eye-opening conversation. So as we wrap up, what's the one key takeaway you want to leave our listeners with today?
I think the biggest thing to remember is that the world of crypto and decentralized finance, it's still relatively new, which means the bad guys are constantly coming up with new and creative ways to take advantage of people. But the good news is that a little bit of knowledge and awareness goes a long way. By staying informed, staying curious, and staying vigilant, you can navigate this exciting world safely and securely.
Beautifully said. A huge thank you to our expert for guiding us through the ins and outs of mobile crypto security today, and most importantly, arming us with the tools to stay safe.
It was my pleasure.
And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on another deep dive. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.